What's up, everybody? This is Sean Ferrer. I am the culturally woke Republican. And today's episode is going to be about three different topics. I want you guys to pay attention very, very closely. One will be Roe v. Wade. I'm going to sign in on this one and give you all the facts and also all of the stupidity. We're also going to talk about the economy. It's burning in shambles. And then finally, I'm actually going to counter into what most leftists would say is a conspiracy theory on the WHO in the world, and something that you probably didn't know, because I know all mass media is definitely not reporting on this. And the reason why is because they don't want you to know. I'm going to make sure you know. And then we're going to do a little monologue at the end, and we're going to see what happens from there. Like I said, my name is Sean Ferrer. And this is the Culturally Woke Republican. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry that I have not posted or, done an episode now in about 2 weeks. I've been very busy. I had a lot going on in my life, and a lot has changed. As you can see, now I'm donning facial hair and look a little rougher. But not to worry. I have also been studying politics, culture, and basically the ways of the world in the last 2 weeks. I'm probably going to get really emotional on this one. As everybody knows, I am pro-life. Okay. Now, if you follow the news, mainstream media, you probably know about the Supreme Court leak that basically stated that the Supreme Court, via majority vote, was going to overturn Roe. I personally don't think this is a bad thing, as I'm sure that you expect that I wouldn't think that this is a bad thing. Okay, but that being said, there are so many different factors in this that, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the country is literally going insane over something like this. And it really angers me. The reason why is because, at one time, the United States of America actually had this cultural norm, okay, that we protected our children, okay, right, left, or center, okay, you always protected the children. You wonder why? Because we all remember the Michael Jackson song, "The Children Are Our Future." Yeah, okay, everybody remembers that, okay. Apparently, something has changed. And the reason why is because, and this is a number that just irritates me to no end, that 64 million babies have been aborted since Roe v. Wade was put into federal law. Okay? Basically, what this did was it allowed, on a federal level, taxpayers to pay Planned Parenthood to abort children from, how would you say? I mean, I'm not going to say that there were certain women that probably, needed an abortion, okay, in cases of incest and rape, and also in cases of, where the mother was actually going to, be injured or die, something like that. These cases are literally 0.015% of all cases of abortion. Okay, a lot of people have come to me and sit there and say, well, how can you say that, guns are, okay, but abortion is not? Okay, well, the reason why I say that is because guns, in the operation of proper people, don't kill good people. They kill bad people. An abortion never ends without the end of a life. Okay, that's bottom line. Okay, I wish I actually had the editing material that I could actually, show you guys what an abortion actually consists of. I've seen these videos. I actually almost throw up every single time I see them. It irks me to my core just to see, and not only that, but to think about a doctor, a person that went to medical school. They did. Usually, it's like 12 years of schooling to become a doctor. Okay. And then this person can literally go home and sleep at night after knowing that what they did was, and I'll explain the process to you. Basically, I mean, there's 2 or 3 different methods of abortion. One is what they do is they take a tube and they suck out the baby's brains. And then they take forceps and break off pieces of the baby, arms, legs, torso, and bring it out piece by piece, and the head is brought out last. Okay, there have been undercover pro-life people that have literally witnessed mothers throwing up in hallways in severe pain because they had given them a medication that's literally killing the life inside of them as they stand there waiting. So that way the baby is already dead when they hit the table, and then they can have this procedure done. Okay, that in itself, me being a father, okay, it's just grotesque. I mean, it's just unfathomable. I don't understand where the American public went wrong, but I do blame it on liberalism. There was the liberalism of the 60s, okay, which is right around the time where Roe v. Wade was actually put into process. It was put into the federal law, okay? What it stated is that the federal government had a right to give right to any and all woman to have an abortion in any state they wanted to in the United States, no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's a red state or a blue state, doesn't matter. Okay. That being said, now we already know about the leak. Okay. There's a lot of hearsay and a lot of conspiracy going on stating that, well, the left is saying that this could have been a conservative that leaked this information. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I believe this was a liberal leftist, far leftist staffer to the Supreme Court justices that saw this opinion, leaked it to the public because they were scared, because they knew that the majority had already been sat down and said, no, you know what? This is a state issue, not a federal government issue. There is nowhere in the Constitution of the United States that it states that you have the right to kill a child in the womb. Okay? If you go by biological science, okay, life starts at conception. I don't care. You know, there's so many different arguments where they sit there and they say, well, no, it's just a clump of cells. I'm a clump of cells. So are you. Okay? You can't state that. And then they say that, life starts when you are, you're a free-thinking human being, or you understand life, which would mean that you were already born. No. Okay, let me ask you this. If you're in a coma, okay, and you're going to be in that coma, you're in that coma, they put you in that coma, and you're going to be okay after 9 months. Is it okay if I stab you and kill you? Probably not. Okay? Let's say if you're sleeping, sentience is another term they love to throw at us. Sentience. Okay, if you're sleeping, can I stab you? If you're in a hospital bed and you're passed out, and they probably know that you're probably going to be passed out. You're not in a coma, but you're going to be passed out for a certain period of time. Am I allowed to stab you then? Are you sentient at that point? No, actually, you're not considered sentient. So, let's put all that aside, okay? That's the left's thinking. But guess what? It goes further than that, okay? And I'm going to explain it to you. And I'm going to explain it in a real layman's terms. And I'm letting you know right now, if you don't understand it after this episode, there's something seriously friggin' wrong with you. You really need to get your head checked, okay? Now, because this leak has happened, of course, Supreme Court justices right now, there's protests, Handmaid's Tales, people in, you know what I mean, outfits and all types of stuff going to their homes. These are homes of people that work for the Supreme Court, okay? They've been appointed to the Supreme Court. They've been confirmed. And now they have tenure on the Supreme Court. Okay, this is where their families live. This is where their children live. This is where they, you know what I mean? Yeah, they go to this job that's very trying and very pressing. But, you know, that's their home. There is actual federal law that states that you are not allowed to go and protest at the homes of Supreme Court justices to try to influence the decisions that they're going to make. Otherwise, if these laws were not on the books, especially in Virginia, they actually have their own state laws. But if these laws were not on the books, well then, you know, the mob A person could be convicted of murder today, but you know what? The mob outside says, no, you should let them go. So what? We're supposed to just give up our whole entire form of justice and just say, yeah, you know what? They say it's not right. So guess what? We're just going to let them have it. I don't friggin' think so. That's not the Constitution of the United States. That's not how the judicial system works. That's not how any of this works. That's the reason why these laws are actually in place. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little bit abrupt. This subject makes me very angry. I'm trying to remain as professional as possible, so bear with me. Now, also in the past week, we've had pro-life centers. These are places where women go to give birth to their children where they feel comfortable. So therefore, these are centers that help women, okay? Give birth to their children, care for their children, things of that nature. Okay, they've been firebombed in places like Oregon. Molotov cocktails thrown in, burned down walls, burned down buildings, things of that nature. Do you feel that something wrong is going on here? I do. Okay, let me see a pro-life activist go to an abortion clinic and burn that place down and see the way the left reacts. Okay, well, first of all, that doesn't happen in the United States. You want to know why? Because there's laws against pro-life activists actually going onto the property of abortion clinics. They're actually protected under Roe. Okay, a lot of people don't understand what Roe v. Wade is. Okay, Roe gave women the federal level of right to have an abortion anywhere in the United States. Okay, if Roe is overturned, all that means, okay, first of all, pro-lifers, I'm letting you know right now, our fight is not done. This is just the beginning, okay? Because if that decision is overturned, that's the opinion of the Supreme Court, okay? It gets passed down to the states, okay? And as I've said on a prior episode, if you live in a blue state, no problems. Trust me, California, New York, Illinois, there's many of them around the country. Okay, if you live in one of these states, you're going to be able to get an abortion probably all the way up until 9 months, which as far as I'm concerned, you're a friggin' murderer. You should go to prison for the rest of your life, if not die by firing squad. That being said, now it goes back to states' rights. Okay, so if you want an abortion, go to New York. If you don't want an abortion, stay in Texas. If you don't want an abortion, stay in Florida. If you want an abortion, go to California. Trust me, California is probably going to have the most liberal abortion rights on the planet. You want an abortion? That's where you go. Okay? Why is the left doing this? Why is the left trying to intimidate Supreme Court judges? You want to know why? Because they're scared. They know that this decision is probably going to pass. And the opinion of the court is that Roe will be overturned. Okay? You have women out there literally preaching about how they've had 12 abortions. I'm going to say something right now that is completely taboo. And I you know what? YouTube might take me off. I don't know. They might ban this episode. It's possible. Okay. But I'm sorry. If you've had 12 abortions in your life, something tells me there is this option out there. It's called getting your tubes tied. Okay. There's women out there that have had 4 or 5 children and then they get their tubes tied. You want to know why? Because they're done having kids. If you've had 12 abortions in your life and you're willing to go on camera and preach that on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or anything like that, as far as I'm concerned, you might want to preach into that option. Because something tells me you don't want children anymore and you're not going to stop having sex. So if you want to keep considering murder as a contraceptive, I think you should probably rethink your life. There's something seriously wrong with you. You need medication, therapy. I wish you the best of luck in whatever type of mental health procedure or following that you decide to go about. I say the same thing about transgender people, which is gender dysphoria. Okay, I wish you the best of luck in whatever route that you choose for your mental health. Okay, now let's go on to today. So, as the left was scared, they scurried to try and find a way to make this so that if the Supreme Court overturned Roe, they actually were be able to sign into law and to legislate abortion laws that the Supreme Court would not be able to overturn because that's the way our country works. The House makes up something. Then the Senate votes on it. The House votes on it first. Then the Senate votes on it. And if they all agree, well, guess what? It all goes to the president's desk, and then he gets to choose whether he signs the bill or vetoes it. If you guys don't know about how normal, law works, that's the way legislative law works. Okay, that's how we get laws in the books. Okay, sadly enough, some of these people should have retired a long time ago, and that's the other reason why I believe on term limits for people in Congress. Okay, but here's what they voted on. Okay, the Senate voted 49 to 51 in not in favor of this abortion law. Thank God. Believe it or not, a lot of people thought to themselves, "Oh, but they're talking about it's the filibuster that stopped this." No, you have to have majority vote for a filibuster to even be implemented. Okay, you have to understand how our judicial or our legislative system works. Okay, they couldn't even get the majority of their party to vote for this. Okay, Joe Manchin, which is a Democrat out of West Virginia, voted against this. Okay, along with like a lot of Republicans, smart people. Okay, but here's the unpopular part. They voted for a bill that would allow abortion. And literally, they were going to take out 500 states' rights all the way across the country. Okay. Up until 9 months. So basically, if you have a child, if you have kids right now, you more than likely you were in the delivery room. Okay. You got to see that child born. Okay. The moment before that child came out of the womb, if they would have gotten their way, they would have been able to kill that child. Now, you tell me who's got the morals. You tell me who's got the heart. You tell me who's got the sound mind. Do you think that's right? Have you ever seen a newborn baby? They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. It's a new life being brought into the world. Now it's seeing for the first time. It's out there. But I'm letting you know right now, like I stated, it starts at conception. Okay? After 6 weeks in the mother's womb, fingers and toes have already formed. The nervous system is already active. You're telling me that when a baby gets aborted and it's ripped apart with forceps, you're telling me it doesn't feel anything? Pain sensors are already there. If you agree with abortion, that's on you. If you're a pro-choice person, that's on you. As far as I'm concerned, you're going to hell. Okay? If you think that the killing of human lives is okay for your convenience, because that's what most abortions are. Oh, I don't want a kid. You know what? I hate to break it to you. There's these things. Okay? They were implemented way back, decades ago. Okay? They're called condoms. Okay? There's also forms of birth control. Okay? There's vasectomies. If you're a guy that doesn't want to have kids, well, you might have to go through a psychological evaluation before you can get a vasectomy, because that's actually the procedure. But you can get a vasectomy. You'll never have to have kids. You'll never have to put a woman or even convince a woman to go through this type of procedure and think that it's going to be okay. All I'm saying is, people, this country used to have morals. We used to have sound mind. We used to think for the youth of America, because we knew that that was going to be the next generation to uphold our laws and our constitutions, our Bill of Rights, our freedoms. We knew that that was going to be the next generation. That was going to be the future. 64 million of them now are gone. And you wonder why we're thinking to ourselves, our population is actually decreasing instead of increasing. Who's going to take over? When I'm dead, who's going to do my job? You want to know why? Because I do a menial labor job. Okay, but you know what? People like me are needed in society, because not everybody can be rich. Not everybody can own all the corporations, because if that was the case, there'd be no workers to work in the corporations. So who's going to be the next? I know I've already procreated. I have a son that's going to follow in my footsteps, and he's going to move forward in his life. And hopefully he'll meet a beautiful woman and get married, and then he'll have children himself. That's my prayer to God. I think it should be yours too. And with that, I'll move on to my next segment. Okay, I've calmed down now, and we're back. Now I'm going to get more excited. Let's go on to the economy. Joe Biden came out the other day and said that the economy and inflation was his top priority. And then the stock market went, boom, done. Yeah, that's basically where the economy is. Okay, let me explain to you how inflation started. Okay, back when COVID first hit. Okay, yes, I understood the first two stimulus packages that were put out to the American people. People were losing their jobs, they were losing their businesses, they were losing their homes. They didn't know what to do because everything is shut down. Okay, I understand that. Then Joe Biden takes presidency. And the first thing he does is like a $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Okay. If you don't understand economics, I'm going to give it to you in a layman's term. Okay. If you just print money, which first of all, at this point, the United States has literally in the last year and a half, we have printed more money than God has ever seen. Okay. Like nobody on the planet has ever seen this amount of money ever. Okay. And that's what we did. We just pumped up the economy, kept putting money into it, even though we knew, or our government officials, now they're Democrats in charge, they should have known that the economy was going to rebound, and we were going to rebound big. Because when you shut down an economy, especially a thriving economy, okay, and then it reopens, okay, that economy was going to push even harder and heavier. Okay, people were just sitting in their homes for like a year, 2 years. Okay, now they're ready to work. Okay, you're giving away unemployment and giving away benefits and stuff like that long after COVID should have been over. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if you're vaccinated. I'm not. And I actually have an autoimmune deficiency disease. I should have been vaccinated, but I'm not. Okay, now it's coming out. I don't even know if you can say this, but now it's coming out that some of them vaccines, you know, like the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, you know what I mean? Some of those probably weren't as effective as you thought they were. I'm glad I never got one. But, you know, that being said, I mean, the economy at this point is on the verge of recession. Certain economists are saying, oh, it'll be like 6 months or something like that, but it's only like a 30% chance of recession. I'm letting you know right now, I believe that that's more 50%. We are going to be right back in when George Bush left presidency and Obama took over. We're going to be right back there. The housing market's going to crumble. Everybody's going to be looking for work. Funding, if you work for a state-appointed job and there's federal funding for that, guess what? Go look for more employment. I know, I was there. I used to work for Tampa General Hospital at one time, and I had a very predominant job back in 2008. Okay, I made very good money. And then one day, I walked into work, and they told me I wasn't employed anymore. And I was a supervisor. Okay, they dropped me like a hot potato. Okay, and then my income went from woo to nothing. And I went around looking for work everywhere. And guess what? That's what's going to happen. Okay, it's getting sick out there. Okay, there's a baby formula shortage. Okay, now I've heard some conspiracy theories about this. Is that there are pallets being sent to the border because of our mass immigration, illegal immigration. Okay, and there are babies down there being brought over the border and stuff, and that, you know what I mean, that's where a lot of the baby formula is going, and that's the reason why there's shortages all over the United States. I'm not too sure on that. I'm not going to say that that's fact. Okay, but what I am going to say is a representative out of Ohio tried to explain the economy the other day and link abortion to it. This might be of interest to you. This woman, and I could call her other names, but this woman decided that she was going to say that the baby formula shortage, okay, could have been averted if we just increased abortion. So it's not the idea, let's try to make more formula to feed the children that we have that are going to move on, you know what I mean, and further our country in the future. No. Let's just kill more of them. And that way, all the ones that actually finally made it to term and actually made it before the mother actually had a doctor yoke him out with forceps, they'll have formula. People, I'm telling you, there's an evil that is being processed across this country. And sadly enough, it's called radical leftism. It's radical liberalism, and it's getting sicker by the day. Okay? I mean, from all these things like drag queen story hour to indoctrinating your children into transgenderism and to gay rights being preached on Disney. I mean, it's just going on and on and on. And the reason why is because us Republicans, for a long, long time, we just sat back and went, we're only going to talk about lowering taxes. We're going to talk about smaller government. And these are going to be our talking points. And we're going to stay out of the culture wars. I'm letting you know, if you're a Republican and you're running for office, stay on these culture wars. We're winning. People like what we're doing. People like where we're going with this. This is where you need to be. If you're going to run on lower taxes, I'm not voting for you. I'm done. I'm done with all that. Now, what really matters in this country is where we put the culture. There's a reason why I call myself the culturally woke Republican. Personally, in the normal mainstream, I actually hate the word woke. Okay, if you look at me in the street and you tell me you're woke, first thing I say is you're a moron. Okay? If you look it up on Webster's dictionary, the term woke means someone who thinks outside the box, someone who is having revelations of things that haven't come to pass, but they know. Back in the day, we used to call those conspiracy theories. But I'm letting you know right now, it's gotten to the point that most of the conspiracy theories that we were talking about like 2 years ago, they've all come true. All of them. Like, I see shirts all the time on the internet that says Trump was right about everything. They're right. He predicted all of this. And he's still making predictions. The man's probably going to run in 2024. I've already told you that I'm kind of torn between him and DeSantis. I'd like to see them debate it out and see who, you got the young blood, you got the old blood. I'd like to see him debate it out. Let's see what happens there. I'm a non-biased person. You know what I mean? At this point, the Democrats have screwed up the economy. Basically, they've screwed up everything since they took power. So, at this point, getting any Republican in office right now is probably a good thing. That's the reason why the 2022 midterms, woo! You want to talk about a red wave? It's coming, people. And you know what? All of these left-wing politicians, all of these far-left politicians that are up for re-election in 2022, they should be scared, and they are scared. They're terrified. They are literally switching talking points at this point as we speak because they know that the things that they've been trying to push, the American public don't want to hear this anymore. We're done with it. Okay, the average working class person, which is myself. I do this podcast for you guys, honestly, and myself, actually, because this way it helps me get most of the stuff off my chest because I study politics constantly. Okay, but I also study culture. Okay, and what I'm telling you is if you have finally gotten your head out of your ass and figured out that, guess what? I'm a Republican conservative, and the people don't want lower taxes. They're worried about the economy. Yes, lowering taxes would help, but there are so many other things that we have to deal with now. The society has gone wrong. Like, there's a bad apple, and the bad apple has affected all the other apples in the bushel. Okay, and you got to be the golden apple that walks in and helps out and actually feeds the public, feeds the masses with the golden apple for the simple fact that all the rest of them are rotten. If you like that analogy. Okay, that's my new analogy for today. Okay, I don't know. The Fed is saying they're going to keep tapering interest. Interest rates are going to rise, things like that. I really don't believe that the Fed is going to be able to taper interest rates high enough, fast enough, because they're too punkish. They're scared. They know if they do that, they're going to lose their Democrat base. Okay, so they're scared to do that too fast. And in actuality, if you don't want your economy to go into a recession, that's actually what it's going to take. Okay? And you know what? By them raising interest rates to a all-time high, yeah, it's going to suck. Hopefully you locked in your mortgage already. But yeah, it's going to suck. But I believe that, it's not going to take long. Maybe 2 or 3 years. And then interest rates will drop and our economy will thrive again and we'll move forward. Isn't that what everybody wants to do? When you go to work in the morning, I know you wake up in the morning just like I do. You put your pants on one leg at a time. You put your shoes on one at a time. And you sit back and you go, oh, man, I got to go to this job. And I got to bust my ass today. Okay, well, don't you want to go home at the end of the day and see your paycheck and say that it was worth it? See your family smile because you can go buy them pizza and pay the bills and everybody smiles? Isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we all dream about as fathers and mothers? You know what I mean? Looking at our children and being able to provide them with whatever we need, whatever they need. That's what we think about, right? At least that's what I think about. I'm sure that if you're a parent, you know what I mean, or even just a family man on the aspect you and your wife. Isn't that what you want? That the labors of your work are fruitful? Well, sometimes that takes sacrifice. Sometimes we have to sacrifice in order for that to happen. Okay, and unfortunately, this administration has put us in such a debacle that we are going to, as Americans, we're going to have to settle for struggle to get to success. Let me ask you this. If we're trillions of dollars in debt, why are we giving $40 billion to Ukraine? We're about to have a food shortage. We already have a baby formula shortage. We have a crisis at our border. We have an economy that's crumbling. Okay. We have a democracy that's like literally losing their mind. But no, wait. Joe Biden's going to give $40 billion and Congress right behind them, including a whole bunch of squishy Republicans, to help Ukraine, another country that I guarantee you that most of you couldn't even have pointed Ukraine out on a map until probably about, let's see, the war's been going on about 10 weeks, 11 weeks. I guarantee you, about 10, 11 weeks ago, if I'd have looked at any one of you and said, here's a map of Europe and Asia, can you point out Ukraine? I guarantee that that would not have happened. I guarantee that you would have not been able to point out that country on a map. But now we can. Everybody's posting flags and all types of stuff, on their YouTube channels, on their TikToks and this and that. It's like you put up a flag of Ukraine and you're like you're a freedom fighter or something like that. Hey, how about this? I got advice for you. They are taking volunteers. If you choose and you want to go and fight in that conflict against Russia, you go right ahead. I'll support you in that. I actually think of you as a man if that's really what you want to do. But don't sit here and suck off the welfare system and think to yourself that you're actually like a freedom fighter because you can post a stupid flag on Twitter next to your name and think that you're supposed to be someone special. Sorry, buddy. That ain't going to fly. That dog don't hunt. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. And that being said, on to our final session of this show. All right, for the final episode of this show, okay, I do want to talk about something that is somewhat of like a little bit of a conspiracy theory that's going on. Okay, I'm starting to do research into it and stuff, but the one thing I will say is MSNBC and NBC and ABC and CBC or CBS and CNN, none of them are reporting about this, including Fox News. Okay, and it's something that a lot of people seem to know a lot about. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. And I'm going to do some more research into it. I do want to give a shout out to Jay King that brought up this topic to me, and I have seen a few things about it. So therefore, I'm like, I can talk about it here. Okay. Very soon, from what I've heard, 190 plus countries is about to sign over their sovereignty rights to the WHO. Now, who is the WHO? The World Health Organization. Okay. Now, do we know that the WHO is basically a Chinese propagandist? Yes. Okay. Where was the WHO during COVID? In the dark. Okay. Now, if this happens, okay, and they're about to vote on this, from what I hear, I don't know where this is happening. Like I said, and I'm just touching on this subject. I'm going to do a lot more research into it, seeing how it's been brought to my attention several times. I feel that I can do some significant research in it, and we'll go from there. Okay. But the one thing I will say is what this means is that if there turns out to be another epidemic or pandemic, okay, that the WHO is basically going to strip all countries of their rights because it's already been signed. Okay, which means that you, as an American citizen, will not have the freedoms in the Bill of Rights or the Constitution. Your Constitution will be garbage at that point. The WHO will rule this country at this point. And do you really think that if they actually gain that much power, you think they're going to give that up? I'd say not. Look at what the Democrats have done all the way through COVID. They're still trying to bring back mask mandates. Biden administration is still trying to fight for that. Okay, you wonder why? Because it gives them power. Okay, it gives them control over the public. Okay, if they have control over the public, they have control over the minds. If they have control over the minds, well, then they have control over the votes. If they have control over the votes, then they can keep the control. That's the way all this works. Okay, like I stated, I'm going to do a lot more research into this subject. And on my next episode, I'm definitely going to completely designate an entire segment, probably 20-minute segment just to this subject, because I'm going to do a lot more research on this. Okay, and find out, hopefully I'm not too late, and I'll figure out what's really going on and be able to tell you guys. Okay, but just as a monologue, okay, if your heart and your mind are in the right place, okay, then you'll know killing babies is wrong. If your heart and your mind are in the right place, you'll know that Joe Biden's administration put us in this inflation. Okay, if you print as much money as God has ever seen and throw it into an already boosting economy, you overextend the economy, and therefore, like, supply and demand really don't coincide any longer, and this is what we get. You know, Jimmy Fallon just made a joke on his show the other day, and it's really hard to get, TV personalities and things like that to make jokes about this administration, mainly because of cancel culture. They're scared. Okay, but Jimmy Fallon actually put his toe in the water the other night, and he stated that, Joe Biden really, took inflation really insistently serious when he realized that milk and gas had already rose to $9 a gallon. I thought the joke was actually very funny. I like Jimmy Fallon. I think he's still pretty funny. People on Saturday Night Live, they've lost their niche, but Jimmy Fallon, still pretty funny. That being said, I don't care if you're a Democrat. Hopefully, if you're a Democrat, you're at least a moderate Democrat. Okay, I don't care if you're an independent. I don't care if you're a Republican. What I do care about is you're a United States citizen. Okay, start thinking like one. At one time, we had pride for ourselves in this country. We would do anything for this country. John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That's the way we used to think in this country, and it's fallen by the wayside, and I don't understand where we lost it, but I'm really thinking that, the cultural indoctrination to the radical left has played a serious role, and Republicans basically kept their mouths shut for so long that now the fight is so far uphill that, we're seriously going to have to fight, and, I wish my listening audience the best of luck in that fight, but keep your head up, keep moving forward, stay conservative, keep to your morals, keep to your values. Let's re-indoctrinate the nuclear family. Let's keep exactly what founded this country and kept it moving in a positive direction, exactly where it should.